welcome to another episode of Let's Krok About It. Today we have Dr. Jenkins, who is going to speak about his study on CVIR entitled Retrospective Observational Study on the Management of Blunt Traumatic Splenic Injury at Major Trauma Centers in England. What is the current role of splenic artery embolization? What was the drive to compare the management of strategies of blunt splenic injuries among big trauma centers?
So this has really been a project that has been a little bit bigger than the paper that we've just released at the moment. It started back in 2022 when, as part of the research or part of the audit committee at BSIR, we identified that actually splenic embolization was something that was performed quite variably within the UK. And we really weren't sure as a cohort of UK clinicians what we were supposed to be doing with it. So that survey was published and we leapt on from that and thought, well, if we're going to really try and iron out some guidelines, then we really need to firstly know what we're doing at the moment before we can then start looking at potentially some bigger studies at what we should be doing.
So where did you get all the data that was included in your research?
So we were really fortunate, actually. I'd had some involvement with the Trauma Audit and Research Network, which now actually ceases to exist, is now called the National Major Trauma Network.
What was the outcome of the research?
So there was a previous paper done by the Trauma and Audit Research Network, which had shown steady growth of splenic embolization through 2012 to 2017, something like that. And one of the things we wanted to see was had that growth been continued, which there was only a small amount of growth. We'd actually plateaued in our kind of yearly growth increase, but we discovered that the splenic embolization rate was about 11%. And the interesting bit from an interventional radiology point of view was that actually the splenic embolization failure rate within England, i.e. they had a splenectomy after a splenic embolization, was quite low at 5.3%, keeping with the literature. So that showed that we're doing a good job when we do the procedure, but I think it also showed huge variability. There's a huge amount of high-grade trauma that's been managed entirely conservatively, and patients doing well from that. But there's also a huge amount of lower-grade trauma that's managed conservatively, and patients not doing that well from it.
The patients that go conservatively and they do not receive an embolization, why would they end up badly? Is it bad selection at the origin? Is it because there's no access to embolization? What's happening? Would they require embolization anyway? What's your explanation of that?
And I don't have the explanation. That's what we're working towards as part of the bigger project that I'm currently doing as an MD with the University of Plymouth, is trying to work out why we're making the decisions that we're making and what's impacting that. Is it that we don't have availability of embolization in our peripheral centres? Is it actually even in some of our major trauma centres we're still struggling to complete a 1 in 6 on-call rota? And actually leaving interventional radiologists not readily available? Is it actually that we don't attend the trauma calls so often in many centres, and we don't have a seat at the table making those decisions? And that's certainly been our experience down in Plymouth occasionally, and some of the learning from other centres. That's been some of our experience. So that's part of the quest of what we're trying to look out for.
Do you think it should be more standardized somehow? There's a necessity of that, to have a more standardized approach towards this might save more lives?
Ultimately, we want to look to conduct some good quality research, prospective research studies, and until we have some standards to go off, and until we have standardization across the UK, then we're going to really struggle to do that. So I think standardization is really important.
Thanks very much. Thank you for your answers, and thank you for sharing your experience with CVIR. Thanks ever so much. Thank you.
Thank you.